Good evening. This is Mayor John Glidden, and I'd like to talk to you today about the current events of the last year. This last year has been a difficult one for all of us, our families, our friends, our children, our parents. We have lost loved ones. Our children's lives have been interrupted. Our way of conducting our businesses has unalterably changed. But one of the areas that I am most concerned for during the last year is the racial strife and injustice that has made this past year hard and painful. A week after George Floyd was killed in police custody, I wrote a letter to Closter residents, and in that letter I said, we now call for justice to be done for George Floyd. By now, we all know there has been a rise of anti-Asian hate, racism, and violence over the past year since the start of COVID. And most of the attacks have been against the most vulnerable in the AAPI, Asian Americans and Pacific Island community, women and the elderly. After 6 Asian women were killed in mass shootings in Atlanta last month, I call for justice for those women. There may not have been footage of the deaths of those 6 Asian women as there was in George Floyd's case, but there has been video footage of other anti-Asian hate crimes since then. One was of a 65-year-old Asian woman in New York City being kicked in the stomach, knocked to the ground with her face stomped on. What is not heard in the video is the attacker shouting anti-Asian slurs and her telling her, "You don't belong here." Another is of an Asian man being repeatedly punched in the subway and then put in a chokehold before his body collapsed to the train floor. The footage of both attacks is disturbingly violent and horrifying. After the video footage of both attacks were shared on the news and in the social media, I felt there was a need to address these attacks as a community. I have many Asian friends in Closter, and they tell me of the times when they or their parents were teased when they came to the United States, when they were struggling with the English language at the post office, the grocery store, or at restaurants, and most especially when their children were afraid when they heard of these anti-Asian incidents. I can understand why my Asian friends in Closter are being affected by the rise of violence and hostility toward Asian Americans. Every time they leave their home, they are hyper aware that the way they look makes them the target of an attack. As your mayor, I will not tolerate discrimination of any form in Closter, nor will I tolerate violence against any group of individuals in our town. The Closter Council urges all members of this community to report any acts of discrimination or violence to our police department, who have been trained extensively to handle such incidents. I ask all residents in Closter to recognize that we are all immigrants and that we all deserve the same respect, love, and tolerance with which we were all brought into this world. We must keep this dialogue going until we are rid of these heinous incidents. The Mayor and Council of Closter have planned a rally for an anti-Asian hate discussion for Sunday, May 2nd at 2 p.m. at Memorial Field. Information will shortly be placed on the Closter website. And finally, I ask you to respect and enjoy the extreme diversity of this community. May God bless the borough of Closter, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.